It was a difficult time because you go two paths. You go down the path where you're feeling sorry for yourself, you're miserable, you're just a pain, you're a pest in everyone's life because you want to make everyone feel sorry for yourself. Or you can go the route where your father raised you to become the man that you're supposed to be your entire life. Try and, strive for greatness. And so I knew I was in a funk for maybe a month, but after that, I knew I'd just get back to work and do what he would want me to do, even if he was still here.
Cole LaCrue is a dual-threat quarterback at Eastern Illinois University. In high school, he was named Colorado's 4A Player of the Year and led his team to a state football championship. He started his college career at Wisconsin, transferred to EIU, and in his first collegiate start, broke the school's single-game rushing record by a quarterback with 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. Before all that, Cole, you won a state championship in baseball, too. When did you know football was going to be your future?
Probably around sophomore year, COVID hit my freshman year, the end of towards that. And we played so much baseball that summer, and going into it, I was just kind of getting tired of it. And then, I wanted to start a job at my new school going into my sophomore year and had a great season there, started getting some college interest. And I mean, as a young kid, I always knew that I felt something special about football. I felt like I could be my natural self out there. So, having the opportunity to play at the college level, I knew it was a no-brainer. Football was a sport for me.
And how did you become a quarterback to begin with?
So growing up my entire life, I was just an athlete. Any team I played on, it was just giving me the football. So I played running back growing up. I played receiver. If we needed to throw the ball, I would throw the ball. So I was just all over the place. Then going into my freshman year, I was like, I'm a quarterback. That my whole life I've been all over the place, and I want to focus on what I think I'm the best at. I knew that I was going to be a quarterback whenever I started playing.
So I would have conversations with Chris Beasley, who was in the NFL years ago, and his son was a baseball player. And he always says that the two most difficult things to do in all of sports is to hit a baseball and to be a quarterback. So you having done both, what do you say is more difficult?
100%. I think it's hitting a baseball. The mental side of it, you got to be okay with being below average, which is the crazy thing. Because, right, you thinking about it, to be the best in the major leagues, to be the best at baseball, you just got to hit 3 out of 10 baseballs and get on base. And so to be okay with that and know, hey, not every time you're up there is going to be a success and move forward with that. It's really daunting on your mental. But, playing the quarterback position, I think I love the pressure side of it. I think there's no other position in sports where you are, looked down under a microscope as more than the quarterback position. So it was good that I had some of that mindset of I wanted to play quarterback even though I didn't when I was younger, and I could translate that into the baseball because, so many guys, you see these guys with so much talent, but they get in their own heads about not succeeding the way I want to succeed, or they get into a bad slump and it's how do I get out of it? So being able to translate that quarterback mindset where I knew that, there was going to be failures, there's going to be losses, but if I could translate that and be, just as prestige, just as focused as I could potentially be, then I'm going to succeed at it.
Do you think that's the most difficult part of the quarterback position is dealing with failure, or is it something else?
It's controlling the controllables, at the quarterback positions, right? You can know as much as you can know. You can know the entire offense. You can know exactly what the defense is doing, and you can pinpoint it before the snap. But again, right, you're only 1/11th of the part of the team. So if someone on your O line doesn't do your job, someone on the receivers run the wrong route, your running back doesn't pick up the protection, that play could fail. So it's understanding, hey, I'm going to do whatever I can do to put our team the best foot forward, right? And that whether that be, your mental side of the game, your physical abilities, there's a lot of things that go into playing quarterbacks just to get out there and just know, hey, I'm going to do what I think's best for this play. I'm going to do what's best for the team. You can be okay with that, right? And be knowing, hey, I put my best foot forward, and people are going to ridicule me. Their opinions don't matter. The only opinion I care about is myself.
And you were going into your redshirt junior year, correct?
Yeah, so I'm going to my redshirt junior year, but I have 3 years of eligibility because I dealt with a couple of injuries at Wisconsin.
So you've had plenty of success, and I'm sure you're plenty hungry for more. I'm curious, what's been the most difficult part of your journey so far?
I would probably have to go with 2 things specifically. The first part, when I was 16, I lost my father to COVID. That was, shocking just because COVID was so brand new. It happened right after my sophomore football season. We lost a playoff game, and then a week later, I lost my father. So navigating that, being 16 and losing the man that, raised me up to be, and, it was a difficult time because, you go 2 paths. You go down the path where you're feeling sorry for yourself, you're miserable, you're just a pain, you're a pest in everyone's life because you want to make everyone feel sorry for yourself. Or you can go the route where your father raised you to um to become the man that you're supposed to be your entire life and try and, outbeat him and try and, strive for greatness. And so I knew I was in a funk for maybe a month, but after that, I knew I'd just get back to work and do what he would want me to do, even if he was still here. And then the second part, I would say, for the hardest part of my journey is obviously I did have a lot of success, right? My senior year, my 2022, you could just write as like a Disney fairy tale, right? I win state for baseball, become Colorado 4A Player of the Year. I commit to Wisconsin, Colorado, who was my dad's alma mater and, my hometown school, they offered me a scholarship. Way in the top 15 program at the time offered me a scholarship. So to have, Wisconsin, 2A, Colorado all offer you scholarships, commit to Wisconsin, you end up winning state, you end up becoming player of the year. You think you're on top of the world. And then as soon as I got to college, it just seemed like for the next 2 years, I couldn't get off the injury report. I got there, I knew I had a shoulder thing from high school. I get there, find out I need labor surgery. Okay, boom, I'm out 6 to 8 months. Get back, finally, I'm making progress. I'm doing my thing on scout team. We get to the LSU game. I'm feeling really good about, where I'm at position wise. Boom, find out I have a back surgery. So I'm out again, another 8 months. And it just felt like anytime I got back, even like healthy, it just felt like my body just never truly felt 100% at that point. So just trying to work through that. And, you're dealing with, seeing guys have success. You're dealing with, you went from being the guy, right, in high school to now you're back at the bottom of the totem pole. It's like, okay, how do you make your way up? And it just felt like I had no easy way path to get back up there because all I was doing was I was just battling adversities, right? And it took a toll on me mentally, physically, and then I decided, hey, I need to. I think I love that I made the decision in Wisconsin. I loved all the people that I met up there, but I just knew it was time. Hey, I got to go look and figure out what's best for my future next. And then I get into the portal, and, I have interest from, some pretty big schools and, it falls through because, they look at my medical report. I didn't play. It's like, hey, we can't afford to take a chance on you. So for, up until Eastern grabbed me, I was in a dark place because I was like, is this it for me? Is this what's really going to be the end of all be all for me? Is that I had two unfortunate injuries that, I know the type of player I am. I know that who I am when I have confidence. And it's like, am I ever going to be able to show that? And so I was in a dark place until, I got that East Illinois phone call. It's like, hey, let's come here and be the guy. And so I'm glad I did. And, it's been good ever since.
First off, I got to say that's an incredible perspective to have with your father passing away, honoring everything that he's brought you up to be. So that's inspiring nonetheless. And the second piece of it, the dark place that you were in, what changed where you were eventually able to get yourself out of it? Was it that knew you were going to Eastern? Is it that you were getting healthy again? Is it a mindset shift that you had?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a mindset shift. I got to Eastern, right? Like I still had to earn everything I was given here. So I put my head down and I got to work. I was coming to a place like this, right? It was gonna be a lot different than, Wisconsin. I wasn't gonna have the same facilities I was gonna have. I wasn't gonna have the same revenue. I wasn't gonna have, maybe the same resources that I would have had at Wisconsin. So I knew everything I was gonna do, I'd have to do two times the work. But my whole life, I've always loved being the hardest worker in the room, right? I may not be the strongest, I may not be the fastest, but I'm never gonna let anyone out. So I just had to find that guy again, right? I had to find that guy that no matter who you put me up against, right? I'm gonna put my best foot forward and I'm gonna compete and I'm gonna drag them to deep water. So getting here, right? I learned a whole new system, a whole new group of guys. And I think last year specifically, I think maybe my leadership side took a step back, which is something I've been really working towards this offseason. Last year I came in and I knew, hey, I just want to put my head down and get back to be the guy that I want to be. And start spring ball, maybe it was a little slow because I was a little hesitant. I didn't have my confidence all the way back yet. But I would say the shift probably came around like practice 10 of last year's spring ball where I was like, screw this. Like just go back to being who I am. And from that moment on, body changed, like my body comp I think changed as well because the weight room mentality changed. My performance in the field changed. My leadership changed as well. I started to become the guy that I remembered. And, that guy's evolved though. I'm not the same person I was in high school. I'm not the same leader I was in high school. I've evolved to become the person that I'm excited about who I am today. I look in the mirror, just do more work, but I'm excited that this is the person that has come out of that as a result.
Yeah, and it'll hopefully continue to change and evolve as your career grows. Being that you pride yourself on being such a hard worker. What are some of your most important habits?
It's, the consistency always has to be, the best thing, right? Whether it's my eating habits, right? I eat the same breakfast every day. It's my spending habits. It's like, okay, understanding, hey, here's what I'm cool spending. Here's what I'm not cool spending. It's, you know, holding myself accountable when maybe I could have pushed harder, right? So maybe that's okay. Hey, I could have given more. So let's give more right now, right? You can only change the future, right? Because you live in the present, right? So whatever happens is now in the past. So you got to look yourself in the mirror and be totally honest with yourself, right? And if you feel like you could have given more, well, then you got to get back in there and you got to give more, right? But I've grown into a place where I feel anytime I'm anywhere, I'm gonna give 110%. So but again, I think it's just consistency and just being the same guy day in and day out, fake per se.
Yeah. Now that's great advice that you're giving to others. What's the greatest piece of advice you've ever received?
I've gotten so many pieces of advice that, through it's hard to pick one, but the most recent one that I think kind of just snapped me out of my little funk I was in from, my time with Wisconsin, even though, first couple of days of practice here is Coach Fleming. He's our old DB's coach. He's at Northwestern now. And he said this to me one day and everything just kind of like stopped. And I was like, wow, that's something special. But he says, if I believe in you and you don't believe in yourself, what am I believing in? Right. And that just made me look in the mirror because, so many people believed me. So many people gave me chances. Yet I'm making them look like frauds. I'm making them look like, fake people because I don't believe that in myself. Right. So they're believing in a hoax. They're believing in a fraud. And I had to look and I'm like, there's so many people that have given me so many opportunities. There's so many people that want to see me succeed. Right. No one, I think if someone's out there waiting for someone to fail. That's just a person I don't want to be around. Right. And so hearing that, it just made me look in the mirror and be like, get back to just do you, like have fun doing it. And so that's just one when you say the greatest piece of advice I've ever gotten. That's just one I always go back to where, it's, the Ted Lasso, the belief sign, that I have that, just that picture on that because anytime I just see that, it just, reminds me of that conversation I had with Coach Fleming.
Man, Coach Fleming did you a solid there, keeping that one in
Yeah,
the
it
back of
did.
your mind for your career. That's great. Cole, what do you hope people take away from your journey?
I think never give up. I think that's one that, I didn't get those big time scholarships till I was a senior in high school. I didn't win state until my senior year of high school. I didn't start until my third year of college. I may not have had the success that I've wanted to yet, but you're never gonna see me unsatisfied, right? I'm always gonna come in and day out and give my best foot forward. I want people to believe in themselves, right? If I can do it, I believe anyone can do it, right? It takes a certain level of degree, it takes a certain level of mindset to get to a place where I'm at. But again, I want to keep working. I want to become the best person I can potentially be. And I want to become the best player that I can potentially be. So, yeah, if I continue the habits I do, if I continue to work with the people that I'm going to work with, I think I can get there one day, and I know I can. So if people, if anything they take from me, it's just never give up and keep working, right? Because you never know. You see, like, I've seen so many pictures, so many graphics where it's like if you would have dig just 1 foot deeper, you could have hit diamonds. So that's just one where I always look back and I just you can never give up. So hopefully, if anyone takes that away, just keep pushing.
Yeah, there's a great book similar to what you're saying. It's called 3 Feet from Gold, which is so many people give up when they're just right there. So great advice. Cole, the idea of simple wins is more than just a scoreboard. What does simple wins mean to you?
Simple wins, just kind of what we talked about. Just keeping the consistency up, making sure that day in and day out you're following the routine, you're following the goals that you've set out for yourself. Because every day it's a blessing, right? So if you can follow and stay on track with what you know is the correct thing, then that's a win in my books.
Awesome. Cole, where can people find you online?
So my socials are LaCrue Cole 18. They can find me on TikTok. They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on Twitter. I'm rolling out a new YouTube series with some of the other athletes here at EIU. That'll be fun. It'll be kind of a mix with sports, but I think it'll be a good thing to broaden our horizons and get other eyes on other sports here.
Go check that out. We'll put in the show notes below. Cole, appreciate your time today, man.
Appreciate you, Sam.
I have one final question for you. Who else would benefit from listening to this conversation? If you have someone in mind, go ahead and share the episode with them right now. If you don't think of anyone immediately, go ahead and leave us a review on whatever platform you're on so people just like you can find the episode. Thank you for your time. Stay strong.